Good morning. 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 Hey, Natasha. Hey, Brandeis. Hey, Miranda. Hey, y'all. I'm sorry I'm late. Confession is good for the soul. I have been in the was on the sick and shut-in list this week, and on yesterday I went out to the Winston-Salem State, North Carolina A&T game. Living here in Winston-Salem, and Derek asked me who was I supporting, and I was like, well, I don't have a dog in this fight, but I am, in the words of Issa Rae, everybody black. And at the same time, I was like, shout out to my conference. I got to stay within my conference, the CIAA, for my undergraduate institution. And certainly, Howard's in the MEAC. But yesterday I was repping for Virginia Union, my first love, my first institutional love. And it was just a good time sitting on the Winston-Salem side and showing them some support until folks, wanted to have that conversation because they saw my shirt. And, I had to say, stick to the rivers and the waters that you're used to over here on this. Worry about this game that y'all playing because you don't want none of this. What's the cheer? Y'all don't want no problems. You just act like you do. Because Big Virginia Union are the champions of the CIAA in football. Don't do it. You don't want this. Stay where you are. Anyway, I went and then anyway, I was hungry. I was out later than usual. I was hungry and I ate something really late that I shouldn't have as a diabetic. I ate something late that I know way better. Way, I know better. I was so hungry. I ate it, and this morning, my sugar was extra beyond what it needs to be, beyond what I'm used to being beyond what it needs to be. So I was just doing what I needed to do to get it together, to bring it in view, and to really, check myself on some, sis, do better. And we all need those kinds of conversations with ourselves when we need to, do better. Sometimes, yeah, I'll stop there. That's a word for somebody. To do better, do better, do better. Well, I had a wonderful time sitting with the Ramily. I had a wonderful time. Listen, HBCU culture is just, it's unmatched. And it's not that I think that I have a blacker experience. It's not that I think that I'm better. And it's not that I shade anybody who did not attend an HBCU. That's not it. But you yourselves must admit, those of you who did not attend, Ronald Galvin, my Becker. Oh. Oh my God, I'm weak. Because I know Ronnie knows the euphemism for chocolate cake. I'm sorry, that has tickled me. mean, he's not lying. At any rate, let me bring myself back. I am here. I just wanted to, let you know. I am tickled. I'm sorry. I am tickled. I am tickled. I am tickled. Coming up, announcements this week. Let me let you know that on next Sunday is dang, it's the 15th already. Next Sunday is September 15th. Oh gosh, I know, Antonia, that is crazy. Woo, whew. Next Sunday is September 15th, and good morning, Soror, and we will be in virtual worship at St. Paul's Community Baptist Church. So instead of coming here to PRC, I'm going to place the link up, and I want you to join us at St. Paul's Community Baptist Church. So next Sunday again, there will not be a PRC, and there will not be a talk back to the text and the clearing. We will be joining St. Paul's Community Baptist Church, as I will physically be in New York City for the week for the Ma'afa. And we will be, the word will be preached by the Reverend Dr. Reginald Williams, under the leadership of the Reverend Dr. David Brawley, and the Menders, the priest, the house priest, Dr. Michael Elam, who is on. Good morning, my dear sibling. And so many of my good friends and colleagues in this work and comrades in this work. The Ma'afa Suite debuts on Sunday evening. The entire gathering is from Sunday to the following Sunday. Reverend Dr. Earl Fisher is preaching on Wednesday. Reverend Dr. Irie Session is preaching the following Sunday. So we will be meeting with St. Paul both on the 15th and on the 22nd, where we will not be gathering in PRC, but our PRC will be driving the virtual bus, and we will be in the city. You can register. Good morning. If one of the Digi Deacons will go, just grab the link from the website of St. Paul's. You can register. For those of you who cannot participate physically, and I don't have any of those. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't have any of the assets up. I apologize. But I'm sure one of the Digi Deacons will put it up. If you cannot be there in person, Charlie hurts. Jesus. If you cannot be there in person, you can register for the Zoom link, but you have to register in order to get the Zoom link. You have to register in order to get. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Byron. Services at the same time. It's at 8 a.m. St. Paul services at the same time. It's at 8 a.m. 8 a.m. Hold out on the clearing, because we may be able to still do the clearing. That might still happen. I emailed the clearing people. I emailed the members of the clearing. Thank you, Confidence. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Confidence has put a form in the link in the chat for you to join, to register for the Ma'afa. Now, sorry, y'all. You don't have to register to come to the service, to come to the virtual services on Sunday. You need to register to attend the Ma'afa during the week. And that's where you will get to hear the likes of the Reverend Dr. Jamie Edie Chisholm, Reverend Dr. Daniel Omatosho Black, co-author Orland Bishop, Reverend Matthew Williams, I'm leaving off names, Mama E.T. Hari Torre, Reverend Dr. Kylan Pugh, my good sis siblings, Ashley Ellis and Ashaley Thomas. Dr. Willie Gottman will be leading us in ritual every morning. myself, and many, many more. So I encourage you to go ahead. Good morning, Griggs. Good morning, Candace. Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Shayla. Good morning. So I encourage you to go ahead and register. Ashe, those are my announcements. So the announcements are, once again, just Dr. Ifa Tayo. Yep. Definitely don't want to miss her. And so I think they have a schedule on the website. So why don't you just go ahead and register now so you're not scrambling for the link. So you're not all in the group chats looking, somebody send me the link. Just go ahead and register for it now so that they can send you the link and you can have it and be with us at the Ma'afa. So that's next Sunday, the 15th, and Sunday the 22nd. Pink Robe Chronicles will be live at St. Paul's Baptist Church, and they are at 8 a.m. Also on Sundays, we'll be tapping in with them. I've not yet determined. Initially, I said there would be no clearing, but I feel like that I could get in between their services and gather us for the clearing. So again, if you cannot attend the Ma'afa, you can register for it. Ashe. Ashe, y'all. Oh my goodness, today. Ronnie, that was the laugh that I needed. I believe those are all of the announcements that I have. Morning. If you have not already clicked like and share, I recognize I'm a little late here. Please do that. I'm grabbing something for us. Just give me. So this morning, I want to talk about breaking chains, and I want to use the lens of mothers. To do that, the text, first of all, let me say, I really enjoy the lectionary text, all of the texts chosen for today. They are texts that highlight the poor, texts that highlight from Proverbs to Psalms to Isaiah to James and to Mark, the gospel, that are highlighting the need for us to not overlook the poor. Not the poor, not fully, not only the poor in spirit, which some of us tend to focus on often, which is important, but excuse me, and also the poor, the economically poor, the classed poor. So I want to invite you, to get into your view. Today's text coming from Mark chapter 7, verses 24 through 37. And listen and help me. Help me in this reflection. I invite you. And Jesus left that place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. He entered a house and did not want anyone. Thank you, Digideacon Carmen. Thank you. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it. Yet he could not keep his presence secret. In fact, as soon as she heard about him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an impure spirit came and fell at his feet. The woman was a Greek born in Syrophoenicia, and she begged Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. First, let the children eat all they want, he told her, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Then he told her, for such a reply, you may go. The demon has left your, excuse me, 27. I just got so ticked off with that, with Jesus's response. Let me come back. First, let the children eat all they want, he told her, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Lord, the woman replied, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. And then he told her, for such a reply you may go, and the demon has left your daughter. So she went home and found her child lying on the bed and the demon gone. I actually want to stop at 30. I don't want to do 37. I want to stop at 30. So 24 through 30. I'm going to come back at it again. Jesus left that place and went to the vicinity of Tyre. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it. Yet he could not keep his presence secret. And in fact, as soon as she heard him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an impure spirit came and fell at his feet. The woman, who was a Greek born in Syrian Phoenicia, she begged Jesus to drive the demon out of her daughter. First, let the children eat all they want, he told her, for it is not right to take the children's bread and toss it to the dogs. Lord, she replied, even the dogs under the table eat the children's crumbs. Verse 29, then he told her, for such a reply you may go, for the demon has left your daughter. She went home and found her child laying on the bed and the demon gone. You know what is interesting about this text? Even Jesus takes correction. Even your lily of the valley, your prince of peace, your rose of Sharon, your bright morning star. Even your lion, what is it? Lion of the tribe of Judah takes correction. And it is because of this mother's correction and this mother's ability to speak, to show, and to stand in the face of authority, even when the authority that many believe has come to break a chain, has come to save, has come to share, even when that authority is operating in a blind spot and overlooking those that he came and unknowingly, not yet in full touch with that part of his call. Even the woman stands, the mother, in the face of a child who is experiencing imbalance. It is because of her ability to talk back. It is because of her ability to talk back and to speak up and to correct. Yeah. That the healing comes. Now, this demon, Mark has, it could be that they could be actually talking about imbalanced spirits. Those of you who got caught in the loop, went down the rabbit hole in conversations about the movie Deliverance on Netflix, God bless you. I stayed clear. I did watch it. I don't have anything to say. I have nothing to add to the conversation, nothing to take away. I just, I can't. I can't, as in I'm not engaging. I get somebody else to do it. It's above me now. But those of you who watched, who when you think of the word demon, think of a kind of visceral, embodied embodiment, a takeover of one's body that causes one to act sporadically, to lose. And I'm not questioning. I'm not doubting. Hear me. I didn't say any of that. I didn't say any. I said I just chose not to be in the conversation. That I want to offer an additional, an additional way of, it could mean that, and it could also mean, Mark often does, where some interpreters think of demonic possession as our connection and our understanding of being intimately tied to empire. Here, intimate tying to the Roman Empire. And so it could be both, is my point. It could be both kinds of ways that one is overthrown, that one's body is overthrown by external and internal forces that create a level of imbalance wherein one requires rescue, and the rescue is a kind of exorcising that releases the hold of the occupier. Ashe, can we go with that? So it is this mother, this mother who is looked at upon Jewish people as unclean. The Syrophoenician woman who is looked at as not having space, as not having value. Ashe. And so here she is providing for us an important move. Before I tap into the Syrophoenician mother, because we're talking about mothers, I want to talk about the sacred empowered mothers. I've been doing this a lot lately where I, Tamil, am not living in the binary of this or that. And if that's you and you know, you gonna make me get with this or get with that, then I'm probably not for you. But I recognize that my faith and my ancestors, the faith of my ancestors was fluid. I say that I come from a legacy of fluidity. Melva, what are you saying? That I come from a legacy of spiritual fluidity, of those who believed, who excuse me, of those who practiced a spiritual fluidity, who found importance in the traditional practices of the Black church that had come to be created in the invisible institutions, in the hush harbors, in the clearings, in the spaces, and once moving from nature into a building, becoming an institution through which by which these institutions that were largely funded by mothers, Ashe, and communities banding their dollars together to create institutions that founded schools, that built schools brick by brick, and other kinds of institutions. And while my ancestors who were a part of that movement, who honored that legacy, what I do know, not just in my imagination, what I do know by my own family folklore and by the myths that are present in my own family, are those who also believed in the indigeneity of their spiritual practices, who knew that what had been passed to them could not be contained in the container of a capitalistic kind of Christianity, a propagandized Christianity, a missionary Christianity that would require them to release that which they carried in them that had not even been awakened yet. So in this mode, for me, it is the fluidity that is necessary. It is the fluidity of embracing not just my African traditional religious heritage, but also embracing spiritual traditions, First Nation traditions, traditions of the East, traditions that speak to me. If it speaks to me, and if I acknowledge it, if in my spirit, if I am shown and I discern that this does not bring harm, that this is a beautiful addition and complement to what I am already doing, then for me it is okay. Now I know I done just put myself and crossed myself off a whole bunch of people's list, and I'm all right with it at this big age. I'm all right with it because I've done the work. Ashe, yeah. Even Jesus wasn't Christian. That's a whole nother thing. So I want to tap in as we talk about this Syrophoenician woman. I want to tap in a little bit because I want to deal with this mother's breaking chains, and I want to put her in a different light. I want to restore the utility here. And so I want to talk a little bit. I want to bring some Yoruba cosmology in. Ashe, shout out to my sister, your favorite scholar, priestess, Dr. Funlayo Woods. Shout out to everyone who does this work, to Dr. Teresa Washington. And so hear me a little bit. For some of you will log off right now, and we love you. God bless you. We send you forth with great peace, and we bless you. And for those who will stay and will tap in, come on and buckle up and let's go. In Yoruba cosmology, and this, if you're wondering where I'm reading from, because y'all are such scholars and you always ask, what book is that? What article is she reading from? What book is that? I am yet again in this beautiful dissertation. I am yet again here in this dissertation. I am. In Yoruba cosmology, the capacity and the dissertation is called Fetching Spiritual Power. In Yoruba cosmology, the capacity to create and transform people, places, and systems and issue balance to imbalance interlocking oppressive forces via formidable speech and divine authority that summons desires into reality is wielded by a concealed power called Ajay. Y'all better make the connection already. Let's run it back. In Yoruba cosmology, Yoruba, the Yoruba of Nigeria, in the Yoruba cosmology meaning their understanding of the universe. In Yoruba cosmology, the capacity to create and transform people, places, and systems, and to issue balance, to issue balance to Jesus, who's functioning in an imbalanced system. Hold it right there. To issue balance and imbalance. And issue balance to imbalance interlocking oppressive forces. How do they do it? Formidable speech and divine authority. Good morning, all the way from Bahrain, Devon Foster. Through their speech and through divine authority that summons what they desire into reality is wielded by a concealed power called the Ajay. This power is guarded by three Orisha, or deities, Oshun, Yemenya, and Oya. Each Orisha embodies specific qualities that represent aspects of sacred empowered mothers. Oshun is the lead guard of the Ajay. Several Yoruba creation stories depict Oshun. Just stay with me. You know, we got to set this up. Several Yoruba creation stories depict Oshun as, quote, the protector, savior, and nurturer of humanity, end quote. One myth highlights Oshun as the central figure in the creation of human beings. Quote, that the Yoruba people believe that Orishas were sent by Olodumare, who is considered the supreme god, to populate the earth, that they were sent to populate the earth. Oshun being one of the original 17, this is the Yoruba creation story. Oshun being one of the original 17 sent to earth was the only female deity. The other gods, all male, failed at their attempts to revive and populate the earth. You see why you need other creation stories? you see? When they realized they were unable to complete the task given to them by Olodumare, they tried to persuade Oshun to help them after they had boxed her out. Oshun agreed and brought forth her sweet and powerful waters, bringing the life back to earth and humanity and for other species into existence. As that Yoruba myth suggests, humanity would not exist if Oshun, the goddess of life and fertility, had not acted. Here, Oshun's sweet and powerful waters are metaphor for Ajay. Ajay, A-J-E, underpins the concepts of creation and creativity. But as a force of justice and retribution, Ajay is essential to social harmony and balance. If you picking up what I'm putting down, let me see you raise your hands with the high five side emoji in the text, in the chat. If you picking up what is being put down right now in regards to how we about to connect this Syro-Phoenician woman, if you are picking it up, go ahead and put the high five emojis right on in that chat. Let me run it back for you. Ajay underpins the concepts of creation and creativity. You should probably share this too if you've not already shared it. Ajay is essential, essential to social harmony and balance. The sacred empowered mothers are essential to harmony and balance. They are essential. Why? Because of their formidable speech, and the divine authority that they have the ability to summon the desires and they come. Ooh, Jesus. This is Yoruba cosmology. And the reason why you don't hear it in your churches is because it doesn't affirm interpretations of Western male Jesus. And because your pastors are sitting squarely and rooted in the Western theological assumptions and interpretations that anything other than what, and evangelicalism, that anything other than white Savior Jesus will save you. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Melva. As Africans were forced into exile and enslavement, they took Ajay with them. Adejoke, you hear me? As Africans were forced into exile and enslavement, they took Ajay, the sacred empowered mothers, the primordial mothers, also the power of those mothers, that and through their enslavement, this is an embodied tradition, embodied religious spiritual traditions. They just don't exorcise them out. They have them with them. So they bring them, the Aj, with them and continued his work of creating, destroying, harming, and healing in the new world. Oshun's ability to complete her divine assignment, in spite of the lack of full participation by her male counterparts, symbolically illuminates the power inherent in Black women's preaching bodies to create and continue to recreate and texture, color, and enliven nearly everything they touch, no matter where they are. Yemenya is the protective energy of the feminine force. In the Yoruba tradition, she is the mother of all the source of the waters. Remember, I have to give you this context. We got to teach and preach. In the Yoruba tradition, and I have Iyas here on this line. Shout out to Adejoke and to Iya Renee who and Terrace and all of the rest who will chime in. I don't know if Dr. Monica's in or on, who will chime in to affirm or correct where needs to be corrected. Ashe? Yemenya is the protective energy of the feminine force. And in the Yoruba tradition, she is the mother of all and the source of all waters. Artist Dahlia Took articulated the following about Yemenya, quote, as all life is thought to have begun in the sea, all life is held to have begun with Yemenya. She is motherly and strongly protective and cares deeply for all her children, comforting them and cleansing them from sorrow. She is said to be able to cure infertility in women, and cowrie shells represent wealth. She does not easily lose her temper, but when angered, she can be quite destructive and violent as the sea in a storm. Yemenya's spiritual power maternalized in the very life center of women, the womb. As one who embodies Ajay, Yemenya's ability to cure infertility exemplifies the vitality of healing as a feature of spiritual power. Healing then is not quarantined only to the physical realm of womb life, but transcends to the cosmos to maintain balance. As Yemenya ushers in balance through healing waters, as the guardian of the cemetery, Oya addresses imbalance by issuing forth winds of change. My goodness. The winds of Oya represent, I see my good sis, my favorite scholar priestess, Dr. Iya Funlayo Wood has joined. Ashe, deep bow to you, Iya. Deep bows to you. Alafia. As Yemenya ushers in balance through the healing waters as the guardian of the cemetery, Oya addresses imbalance by issuing forth winds of change. The winds of Oya, quote, represent a time of upheaval or sudden change of a destructive and chaotic but necessary nature, end quote. Facets of each Orisha manifest in Ajay. The Orishas direct Ajay. The Orisha direct Ajay. However, the source of Ajay, let's go, are the sacred empowered mothers. Lord, I ain't got no fan today by me. Woo! My goodness. We almost there. We almost there. We almost there. The Age come from and are the mothers themselves. Age, quote, is the power of the feminine and of female divinity, end quote. Let's just pause right here. I know I'm getting to Mark. But let me park it right here. Because where in our Christian text, except for wisdom, is divinity personified as feminine. This is why you need other cosmologies. Right here. This is why you can't be scared. This is why you got to break the chain of you thinking that going outside of or that learning more is somehow antithetical. This is why right here. This is what your soul has been thirsting for. This is what you've been requiring. This is why you be sitting in some services bored. You can't take it anymore. You just wonder. You just need a little bit more. You need a feminine divinity. Let's talk about it. Confidence. That's what you need. Yeah, we need a feminine divinity. We're imbalanced because the male divinity is too much and it doesn't speak to all of us, and we need balance. Ashe, okay, come on, Dr. Teresa Washington. In Our Mothers, Our Powers, and Our Text, Teresa Washington indicated the following quotes. Age is decidedly woman-owned and administered. Female ownership of Age can be attributed to the life-giving, highly spiritual, and sacred womb. Indeed, our mother's wombs are literal doorways to our existence and the terrestrial origin sites of Age. While many hold that Yoruba females of all ages have some degree of Age, elderly women endowed with wisdom that is tempered with life's vicissitudes are considered the most evolved, balanced, and powerful. Who is it? Elderly women, older women, endowed with wisdom. It might say in other texts with inverse uterus, those who have gone through menopause. Those women, those women endowed with wisdom that is tempered with life's vicissitudes are considered the most evolved, the most balanced, and the most powerful. In Yoruba theology, the mothers are an esteemed group of spiritual entities, honored second only to Ifa, the voice of God itself. The role of the mothers is the rectification of human behavior and development of Iwapele. Iwapele means good character. Good morning, Iya Mama Itihari. Oh, the mothers are in here today. Do you hear me? Good morning. The role of the mothers is the rectification of human behavior and development of Iwapwele, which is good character of individuals in concordance with their own heads, their ori, as well as collective harmony. They are known by many praise names, such as Awon Iya, Awon Iyawa, our mothers, Awon Iyami Osoranga, the great and mysterious mothers, or Yewajobi, the mother of all Orisha and living things. Henry Drull and Margaret Drull maintain that the mothers are, quote, recognized as the spiritual and terrestrial gods of society and the owners of the world. Do y'all hear it? We've not even touched Mark yet. But Washington posited that, quote, the mothers enjoy suzerainty because of Age. Age has the power to create and destroy so that rebirth is possible. I want to submit this morning that this Syro-Phoenician woman, for whom the Jews were to consider unclean, for whom they were to look their noses down at, for whom they were not a part of their tradition. I want to suggest that the Syro-Phoenician woman in this Mark text is operating with Ajay-esqueness. That she, by the use of her divine speech, when Jesus tells her that he cannot come to bring her child back into balance because the food needs to go to the children, because he does not even see her child, as a human, that it is because of her words that even the dogs get the crumbs under the table. It is because of her, for my reinterpretive lens as an Afro-centered, Afro-futurist, womanist homiletician who is re-envisioning, who is calling on sacred memory, the ancient wisdom traditions, to restore, and to unseat the hegemonic narratives that we have been given in this Western tradition understanding of a capitalistic, missionary, evangelical Christianity, which lifts up a male authority figure as one who comes to save. I am offering us sacred wisdom in the Yoruba cosmology that invites us to lean into a feminine, a female divinity that is comprised of Oshun, Yeminya, and Oya, that together form the primordial mothers through the power of the sacred mothers that have the ability to destroy, to bring into balance, to break chains, and to speak truth to power. I hope that you see what I am doing here, that what I am doing is bringing alongside some truth that is not common to many of us, because many of us are in spaces where people either don't know or they are afraid, because they have been told that anything African, anything Eastern, anything other than Western, white, blonde hair, blue-eyed, Jesus, anything other than the way you understand, anything other than prosperity, anything other that only deals with you and your individualized understanding that Jesus is only your Lord and your Savior, and as a matter of fact, he's a genie in a bottle, is wrong. So I'm helping us today expand. Now, I technically can move to the text right now, but just oblige me a few more moments. Give me just a few more moments to go right here. Because since I brought them up, it could be said that one reason why the Syrophoenician people were not looked at well was not only because that one reason was because they worshiped other gods. They worshiped other gods. And in Christianity, that would have been in Judaism, but let me talk about how this gets looked at in Christianity. In Christianity, we, unfortunately, some of our ancestors put down their masks in order to assimilate. And in that assimilation, my God, today, Jesus, in that assimilation, that fluidity that I spoke of earlier, that we have a legacy of spiritual fluidity, in that assimilation, they released their fluidity and took on, remember, because the void was created, and took on the values of those that occupied them. Hence, anything that is outside of Christendom, they now name as witchcraft. So that the Syrophoenician woman could have, one of the reasons why she could have been looked at the way she was looked at, yes, of course, in that context would have been for worshiping other gods, for being outside of the will of Yahweh. But here I want to offer this kind of problematize the name witchcraft. Can we go? Just show me the high five emojis if we could go. If you can if you can allow me, as Dr. Black told me last week, I'm not digressing. I'm just going to some other limbs on the branch. Just give me the high five sound if I can go. Ashe. Thank you, Cammie. Thank you, Byron. Ajay then originates with the womb of the mothers and the power. And for those of you who are like, what's she reading from? I'm reading from my dissertation, Fetching Spiritual Power. No, it is not published. No, do not go try to search it. I don't know, it might be in Quest now. I had an embargo for many years because of was just a hard relationship with it. I said it just needed to sit. And I've been going to it from time to time. And it may be published, it may not be. I'm not sure. Everything is not meant to be, Ashe. Because this is also a form of publishing. You're getting it. Ashe. Yeah. All right, let's go. Ajay originates with the womb of the mothers and the power of the word. Chief Yagbe Onilu informed that, quote, according to Ifa, the difference between men and women is that women are born with Ofo Ashe, the power of the word, or to pray effectively, which is inextricably linked to Ajay, end quote. Let me run it back to us again. Listen, y'all gonna get free in here today. Do you hear what I say? Woo! Ajay originates with the womb of the mothers. According to Chief Yagbe Onile, informed that according to Ifa, the difference between men and women is that women are born with Ofo Ashe, the power of the word, or to pray effectively, which is inextricably linked to Ajay, end quote. Onilu defined Ashe as the following, quote, a component. Takia, get out my message, sis. A component of the life force breathed. Hold on, let's just pin this. A component of the life force breathed into each human being by God. It is spiritual power. It is the power to create everything. Gods, ancestors, spirits, humans, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, and voiced words such as songs, prayers, praises, curses, or even everyday conversation. Existence according to Yoruba thought is dependent upon it. It is the power to make things happen and change. The power of the word is an important part of harnessing Ashe. This is how your body should be reacting to truth. So when you hear us, those of us who say Ashe, it is not, this is why we can't simply say, it's like saying amen. We often say that because we're discerning where we are and who is able to receive the truth of what Ashe really means. And we, those of us who use it, it is not sort of just like, Ashe. Yeah. I'm leaving Takia's comment right here. I'm going to leave it pinned. If it's distracting you, so I'm going to leave it pinned right here because she got there before I could get there, and I love it. So I just want to pin it and leave it right there. So Ashe. So we're talking about the Ajay, but we're talking about the Ajay because for Onilu, the Ajay embody Ofo Ashe. That Ashe, ASE, is a component of the life force that is breathed into everybody, meaning everybody has Ashe. Everybody, every human being has Ashe. Ashe is spiritual power. It is the power everybody has, the power to create. What this sound like? Why would somebody tell you that this is wrong? Why would somebody tell you that this belief is wrong? Just hold on. That you have in you the power to create everything. Come on, Rugsy. The power to create everything. Gods, ancestors, spirits, humans, animals, plants, rocks, rivers, and voiced words such as songs, prayers, praises, curses, or even everyday conversation. You got that in you. Using the oracular power of the mothers, using the oracular power of the mothers, Black preaching women consciously tap into the power of the word to create space, Black women, to create space for marginalized bodies within dominant spaces. Historically, this power has been often reviled by power holders. Attempts to hinder the progress of Black preaching women, because this is my dissertation, this is what I was talking about, succumb to the power of the word ashe. Listen to this. Unfortunately, the intensity of this power that brings words and intentions to life and is the demise of exclusionary systems has been erroneously referred to as witchcraft. You get it. I'm gonna take my time. Let me let this seep in. The professor in me is saying pause. Pause for a moment. Ashe. And while y'all pause, because I know some of you all need to come into the clearing to talk back to this. I want to put this here in the link, and then I'm going to pin it. For those of you, I just needed you. I needed you to get. I needed you to. I haven't even touched. Haven't even touched. Got your breath? Ashe. Here we go. Unfortunately, the intensity of this power that brings words and intentions to life and is the demise of exclusionary systems has been erroneously referred to as witchcraft and the mothers as witches. Washington identified the cause of this disapproving labeling as the, quote, Europhallogocentric construction of African witchcraft. Let me bring it down. Yes, that the relation, Ronnie, we'll talk about it in the clearing. Bring the question to the clearing. The connection between Ashe and Ajay. Bring the question to the clearing. Washington identified the cause of this disapproving labeling as the, quote, Europhallogocentric construction of African witchcraft. She articulated that many scholars use the terms witch and Ajay as they are synonymous, as if they are synonymous. The erroneous translation of Ajay and the misguided assumption that complex African concepts can and must be defined by false European language equivalents has led to much confusion and impeded a true understanding of Ajay and similar powers, end quote. Wande Abimbola, J. Omashade Awalalu, and Awo Fontanumi illumined Washington's Post. In 16 great Ifa divination poems, Abimbola argued, quote, the Ajay represent a negation of all that human beings cherish, end quote. In Yoruba beliefs in sacrificial rites, J. Awalalu asserted, quote, witches wielding Ajay are seen as the personification of evil and as innately wicked people who work harm against others. They are capable of their nefarious deeds through their possession of mysterious powers unknown and unavailable to ordinary people. End quote. Fantanubi offered a similar description. I'm going somewhere. Fantanubi offered a similar description. He noted that anthropologists also usually translate Ajay to mean witch. End quote. Like Washington, Fantanubi also disagreed with this designation. He concluded that this, quote, inaccuracy has caused serious confusion regarding the theological foundations of Ifa, end quote. Ifa is the religion of the Yoruba people of West Africa. Basically, what he is saying is that the Western translation or interpretation of what they were seeing at the Ajay, that they identify using their language as witches. He is interrogating the term witch. Washington blamed the translation inaccuracy on, quote, the upheaval caused by the European social, economic, and ideological colonization of Africa, which led to the social construction of African witchcraft, in goddamn quote. Come on in here. Washington blamed that the translation inaccuracy, the translation inaccuracy, that's what we've been experiencing. A translation inaccuracy caused, that the translation inaccuracy on, she blames it on the upheaval caused by the European social, economic, and ideological colonization of Africa, which led to the social construction of African witchcraft. It is a social construction. Washington explained that in order, quote, in order to solidify the mental slavery and social death of Africans and to facilitate territorial expansion and economic control, European colonizers slated traditional African spiritual systems and their devotees for eradication, end quote. Thatanubi validated Washington's assertion when he offered the following. When the British colonized the Yoruba nation, they made a deliberate effort to ridicule and abolish indigenous forms of religion. The effects of that campaign are still apparent in modern day Nigeria. Missionary groups provide much of the available education outside of the large cities. Indoctrination against Ifa is a part of the curriculum in many of the Christian schools. European colonizers were threatened by Ajay and Ifa spiritualists because of their surreptitious and indigenous radical works. The idea of African witchcraft was constructed by European colonizers and was also spread by African religious zealots rooted in patriarchy. Let me run it back. The idea of African witchcraft was constructed by European colonizers and was also spread by African religious zealots rooted in patriarchy. Per Washington, quote, these continental witch hunters focus largely but not exclusively on spiritual entities and objects of a particular gender, end quote. Imperialist and patriarchal indoctrination imposed a binary opposition of evil female witches and good male wizards. You don't hear me though. Let me run it back. That imperialist and patriarchal indoctrination impose a binary opposition of evil female witches and good male wizards. That is, Ajay is a respectable force in the hands of men, but when issued by women, the original owners, it is rendered evil. I gotta stop and go over to this text real quick. I gotta stop there. You know, there is much more that I can say, but I gotta stop there. So here in this text, Mark 7:24, we are standing along the powers of the Ajay. And as our sibling Takia has already shared, it is the Syro woman's fluidity that empowers Jesus to carry out what he is supposed to carry out in the first place. In the eyes of Jesus and in the eyes of those who read this story from a colonized viewpoint, this woman has no power. but we know different because of the context that was just laid. She is a Gentile. She lives in the region of Tyre, a land historically known for its wealth, yet deeply intertwined with the exploitation of oppression of others. To understand her position, we must recognize that she is doubly marginalized as a woman and as a Gentile, living under the thumb of a society that doesn't see her, a society that values wealth and power over people. This woman's life has been shaped by the greed of empire. We don't know the specifics, but we know what happens when greed and empire have their way. We know that the way they strip communities of resources, leaving people like her to struggle. We know the way they dehumanize, how they make those who are oppressed feel invisible and voiceless. But here, this woman endowed with the power, this woman enacting her Ofo Ashe, has something to say. When the woman, this mother, refuses here to be invisible, she has a child who is suffering, and that is enough to make her defy every social expectation, every barrier that has been placed before her. When this woman hears that Jesus, a Jewish leader, when she hears that Jesus, a Jewish leader, is in town, she doesn't hesitate. She approaches him boldly, asking for the healing of her daughter. And now let's pause again for just a second to recognize the audacity of this moment. Here is a woman who, by their society standards, has no right to approach a Jewish rabbi, for she is a Gentile, an outsider, a woman, but she comes anyway. And why does she come anyway? Well, friends, we just laid out the entire context that if we were to invite Yoruba cosmology in, she comes because it is what she does, holding the power of the sacred empowered mothers, leaning into the wisdom of the feminine divinity. She comes because she knows that her words have the ability to shift things. And while it did not fully have the word to, she could have fully used it to shift her daughter's outcome. Her purpose in that moment was to shift the energy of the male savior, to help him to use her fluidity to help him shift his energy. That she in that moment had the ability of the Ashe. She carried her Ashe forward, and what she desired, she spoke. Even Jesus saying to her in his very flippant turn, let the children be fed first, for it's not right to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. Calling this woman's child a dog. Oh, these words could have crushed her. They would have crushed any one of us, maybe, because how highly we regard Jesus, how highly and how quickly we lean into the divinity and release him of his humanity, how highly we redeem him from humanity and let him still run loose in his tradition, in his religious tradition, in his ethnic tradition, which would have had him continue to look upon this woman and her child as inhumane. But this doesn't stop the woman, because she understands all too well the reality of being treated as less than, as something other than a child of God. She knows what it is to live on the crumbs of society, the leftovers of an empire that cares only for itself. But she doesn't let this stop her. What does she do? She speaks truth to the corrupt power. And in this moment, friends, I hate to break it to you, but Jesus is functioning as the corrupt power. I know we don't ever want to talk about it. I know that he is the shining one, the one who comes to save us. I know he is the one that we cast all of our cares upon. And I'm not trying to demonize. I just want to help you understand in the text that this is the problem when you idol. This is the problem when you make something an idol instead of understanding, instead of grabbing it for more clarity, instead of using it as a compass, instead of seeing the influence that it could have in using what is good and challenging that which is problematic. In this very moment, friends, Jesus is the problem. Jesus is the problem that the woman is speaking to. You don't hear it today. You don't want to hear it today. Because if you hear it God today. It's going to cause you to have to recapitulate. It's going to have to cause you to have to rethink some things. It's going to have to cause you to have to actually think. But here she is. Here she is. Here this woman is, not hesitating, approaching him, and not letting his words stop her. Yeah, even the Lord, even the dogs eat under the table, she says. In this moment, she's not asking for mercy. She's not begging in this moment. She is speaking truth to the corrupt power. In this moment, she is declaring her worth. She is asserting that even in a world that deems her less than, she is still deserving. Even in a world that refuses to see her, that she has the ability in herself to call it and to speak it, and so shall it be. She, in that moment, this female divinity using this power, speaking, this is the second time in the gospel text. Hear me and mark it, where the feminine, it is not the second time actually, it's the quadruplest time. It's the infinity time that a woman's divinity has been used to correct. That a woman's divinity in this spiritual text has been used to shapeshift. So let me run it back. It's not a rescue from these texts that we need. It is a rescue from the translations. God, today, it is a rescue from the translations that have been translated mainly from a male perspective into a patriarchal system wherein only the male divinities are highlighted, and the power and the spirituality of the feminine divinities are often remain silent or go subverse or go covert. Baby, can I help you understand that what we are seeing, much like the woman with the issue of blood, for whom if it wasn't that she touched Jesus's garment, it was that Jesus felt her. Come on. Yet here we are again, Jesus being correcting himself, not from God, his quote in air quotes, Father in heaven, but from the woman here, the woman who's not even Jewish, the woman from a different cosmology, embodying, I'm going to get this Yoruba cosmology, the ability to create by her words. And she says, even this is what happens. She ain't asking for mercy. She is declaring her power. She is asserting that even in a world that deems her less than, this woman's faith is more than just belief. It's radical. Defiant. Trusting in the Creator. She refuses to be silenced. She refuses to accept the status quo. And in doing so, she breaks through the chains of oppression that have held her down. Her faith speaks to the power of persistence, the power of a mother's love, and the power of believing that God's mercy is greater than any human barrier. This story is not just about personal healing, no. It's about challenging systems of power and oppression. The Syrophoenician woman's encounter with Jesus is a microcosm of what so many of us face today. Living in a world where the powerful often ignore the cries of the marginalized, where the empire greed leaves too many of us struggling for survival. But this woman shows us that even in our most powerless state, we have the ability to speak truth to power. She shows us that our voices matter, that our faith can move mountains, and that God's grace is not limited by the boundaries that the world imposes on us. Y'all, I want to tell y'all, we called to be like this woman. We are called to call forth that which we desire. We are called to stand firm in our faith, even when the world and empire tells us that we are not worthy. We are called to believe. And we are called to stand up and to speak out, even in the face of authority. May we, like the Syrophoenician woman, persist in our faith. May we demand justice and trust in the power of our ancestors, the power of our mothers, and the power of God to break every chain. And may we never forget that even when the world sees us as less than, that we got a history and that we got some powers that knows we are more. Ashe. 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 Oh, my goodness. Friends, 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 friends. Listen, we are late, but we are headed on over to the clearing. If you want to join us today, the link is right there I've pinned it here for you. You can join and then email me or inbox me here on Facebook immediately after you do it so that I can send you the link so that you can come on over into this private Zoom and talk back with us. And then you can join in conversations with us throughout the week as we engage and talk back to the text with one another. Ashe, 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 and Ashe. Oh, and we will see you again. Ashe. Next week, we will be at St. Paul's. Remember, we are at St. Paul's for the next 2 weeks. Pull up virtually on both Sundays, the 15th and the 22nd. Their service meets at the same time as PRC at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Meet us on the St. Paul YouTube page where they will be streaming live. Next week will be Reverend Dr. Reginald Williams will be preaching, and the following week, our very own, they both are our very own Reverend Dr. Irie Lynn Session. Remember the link, the registration link for the Ma'afa is also in here, but you could go to their website to find out how to register for the conference for the week so that you could get the Zoom link. Ashe. Hey, Alvalyn. Hey, friend. Love you. Ashe, this was Sunday school. Amen, amen, amen. Amen. Ashe. Mama ETR, I'm going to send you the clearing link just in case you want to jump on.